Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Tuesday, December 19th. Got our coffee here. It's 10 to 4 in the morning. Girls, I'm going to kick you in patootie, huh? In, Eastern time zone. Up a little early. Yesterday, I ended up doing a road trip a little over 2 hours each direction. Rained the whole way up and all the way back through. And just winding roads up through the Adirondacks is just constant. But on those rides, I like it because I'll turn the radio off. It gives me a chance just to think. And one of the things that I was thinking about was, it's how does somebody become good at something, right? And I was thinking, about how you may have, two mechanics in this shape. You may have two mechanics side by side, and one rolls in let's say a John Deere rider, and he knocks it out quick, and he can tell that it's having a little bit of a carburetor issue, or maybe the valves, but experience tells him what direction to go in, right? And then you take somebody that hasn't been doing it as long, just looking at the other person, wishing that they had their skills. And if they continue to apply themselves, they will. This has nothing to do with age. So before you get, the older mechanics, no, I'm not talking that. I'm talking just ones that have got more experience, ones that have put their time in. I'll tell you, I've seen some awesome 20-year-old mechanics, that were working with their dad in the garage when they were 9 and 10. And they put their time in. And dad taught them how to diagnose and fix and not to be scared of it. And then they may have gone on to a trade school, gone on to some of the manufacturers like Briggs, Kohler. Both have schools that you can do online, or at least used to. But it's all in applying yourself, right? I've seen guys that never applied themselves and never got better at anything. And watching younger guys blow right by them. See, I believe in life because you're only here for a short time, right? You should always try to improve on yourself every day. Now, if being a mechanic isn't your bag, then being a mechanic isn't your bag. You need to find something that you have passion in. And if you don't have any passion in working on equipment, cars, tractors, any of this stuff, then you need to take a quick evaluation of your life and say, what direction do I want to go? Shape. Shelby's not touching you. Evaluation of where it is you are now and where it is you want to end up. Because the worst thing you could ever do to yourself is pick a profession that you hate with a passion, or a job that you hate with a passion. I'm not talking about the skipping stone jobs, and those are ones that that are temporary, that you need to do until you find something better, right? You can't sit back on your laurels and not be part of the workforce, right? So it's not that. It's you need to really sit down and take a good accounting of yourself and what gives you passion. For some, they chase money, and that's the worst thing you can do is chase money or fame. They think this is going to make them happy. If I only had more money. You know what happens with more money? You just buy bigger, better crap. And you spend it. And you're still having the same woes of no matter where you go, you're there. It's not the situational thing that you're in. It's you a lot of times. You're the unhappy one. And we talked about that. No one can make you unhappy if you don't want to be unhappy, right? But you need to take an accounting and say, okay, what is it that gives me passion? And it may not come to you. Or the thing that you enjoy doing the most may not be a profession that's looking for a lot of people. Or it may be one that doesn't pay very much. See, I'd rather be poor and happy than rich and unhappy. Does that make any sense to you? Probably not. See, the nice thing of not having a lot or losing a lot, and having to start over is the only way is up. If you have down the basics, you can overcome and accomplish anything you want. What I see is people that don't have anything to speak of, they have nothing to lose. So everything is a challenge, right? And I love challenges. That's probably my biggest fault. And I'm great with challenges. It's just the mundane crap that gets me because I don't want to deal with it. Whereas I watch a lot of people that do have money that are constantly worried about losing their money. Because now they feel like they've got everything to lose instead of all to gain. You see what I'm saying? I mean, if you can find happiness when you're poor and without stuff, and you can keep that attitude, you'll do well when you get a little bit of money. But this goes back to, the evaluation of yourself and trying to decide what it is I want to do. Here are the steps, and evaluate yourself on the steps as you're going to make sure that you're still on the proper course. And of course, don't forget, it's the journey, it's the experience, it's wisdom that you're on that journey, right? To that goal. And you should have short-term and long-term goals, okay? And they both should be attainable. Whether, if you decide that, let's say you're a mechanic at a repair shop, a small engine repair shop, and the owner is thinking about retiring. Now, you could look at it two ways. You could look at it as one, oh my God, my job is in jeopardy. Or two, this may be my chance at owning and operating a small engine repair shop with customers already in place. Now, we've discussed this, and Amos has also posted about it. Just because you buy somebody out does not mean you get to keep all their customers and You may have employees leave with the new ownership. Depending upon how you treat your customers is going to dictate whether you get ahead or you go backwards. Excuse me. Because I know, see, we have people that are looking for challenges and excel, okay? And I would put myself into that category. I love a challenge. I excel at a challenge. But once I defeat that challenge or accomplish that challenge, then what? Because, as I said, I'm not a mundane person. I don't do well with day-to-day operations. I do better at building a business, getting it to the next level, and then passing it off to somebody that is good at, just keeping it profitable. If you're making money, you're making money, right? And I've seen where very successful businesses have changed leadership, ownership, management, and gone right into the drink because of improper handling of their employees, their customers. They're not being honest with their customers, honest with their employees. And when I see people that treat their employees bad, they're treating their customers even worse. Your employees are the backbone. They will either make you or break you. And you want your employees in a position of when things get a little hard on you, they rise to the occasion. Because they know you got their back too, right? That's a good boss. We talk about leaders and followers. And my biggest concern right now is I'm seeing a lot of followers, a lot of sheep with the younger generation. It's, these protests or smash and grabs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't need to go into all that crap. But if you look, it's like one person has the idea and then the rest of them just follow like sheep because it seems like a fun thing to do, right? Don't be a sheep. Be a leader. Pick your path. And just because one person is popular doesn't mean that their path is a good one to follow. All right? And I'll tell you, even from high school and out, I knew very popular people that turned out to be very miserable inside. But they didn't want to let on how they were feeling. It's that popular girl at high school that everybody wants to be like, but yet at home they're in tears because they hate themselves. Don't always judge a book by the cover, right? So in life, you are going to be either a leader or a follower. A leader is picking your own path. Why allow somebody else to tell you what's a good path for you? If it's so good, let them go do it. Because I know, with me anyways, everything I've tried, even if I fail miserably at it, I got wisdom and I learned my mistakes. It's like Amos says, someone that continually does the same thing expecting different results is equal to insanity. But a lot of people do. They keep trying to get a different result doing the same old thing. And a lot of times, the answer is right in front of you of what you should be doing or learning. If you want to build a successful business, you need to work on the ground floor. The ground floor is you. And that is, if you're into the building, which I've built a couple houses, garage. But I use this analogy, is business is like building a house. If you don't have a solid foundation underneath that house, it will crumble. If you try to cheapen and, buy a lesser grade cement, or decide that you're not going to put the proper pad in before the pad with fill and everything, and tamp it all before you pour a concrete slab for the house to sit on, good chances are it's not going to be a solid structure. And if you take a lot of shortcuts in building that house, or building that business, or in your just general life, it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. My grandfather always said, if you're going to do it, at least do it right. Do it to the best of your ability. He didn't say do it to the best of, try to better everybody else, to do better than everybody else. He said the best of your ability. And that's carried with me. And that's why I talk about, instead of competing with other people, compete with yourself daily to become better at whatever you're doing. Even better at being an individual, a human. But yeah, I've seen a lot of shoddy contractors do just that. They come in and low bid a contract because they're using cheaper grade materials. They're not making it as sturdy as it should be. Instead of going 2x6 walls, they're going 2x4. And there's nothing wrong with 2x4, but the problem is you get up here in the North Country, and 2x4 just is not going to give you adequate insulation R value. So 2x6 is a lot better because you can put in 4 inches of insulation but still have the airspace in between, right? And it gives you that extra insulation to keep the cold out and the warmth in, right? You get out towards the southern states, and they make it down into the 50s at night, or mid 40s to 50s, and 2x4 with insulation, the R value, you get away with a lot less, right? So it's location, but you need to know what are the recommended materials that you need. And if you're just going to come in and do shoddy work, it's going to follow you. And my grandfather always said, a good craftsman is one that can cover up his mistakes. A shoddy craftsman is one that doesn't care. And you take, like, putting siding on a house. If you have 2 or 3 guys working on siding together, they have to be in sync. And what do I mean by in sync? I mean, I usually start with snapping a line that I know is level, okay? On the bottom of the house. I put on the first row for the bottom. And then with siding, if you've ever dealt with it, a lot of it just snaps. You lift a little bit and put in a roofing nail or a staple, whatever you're applying it with. But if the guy on this end of you is pushing harder up before he staples, then the guy on this end is not pushing enough, and I'm pushing the right amount, what's going to happen? Within your first couple sheets of siding, your strips of siding, whether it be the 4 or 6 inch, is now going to be not level. And during the winter months, if you have the siding up too much, it will become brittle and snap. Where during the summer, if your siding isn't snug enough to where it's perfect enough, then it's going to sag. It's going to look like crap. So you have to know what you're doing, right? You just can't throw siding on a house. You need to know that there's a... And I've seen, I know up here we had a pair of brothers, and they were phenomenal, but that's all they did was siding. And same everything was perfect. And they used to build houses too, but siding was their big thing. Siding and roofing. But it all goes back to, doing it the right way. Most often the case, there is a right and there is a wrong way, okay? And if you walk away with anything from today's video, it's don't be a sheep, don't be a follower. Choose the path that is right for you. And try to better yourself in whatever you're doing on a daily basis. And just understand that you're going to come up against some roadblocks or bumps in the road. And that's okay. The ones that persevere and find a way around it or through it are the ones that will become or deem successful. Whereas the other ones will quit their journey and drive home. Followers are never going to be happy because they're going to keep trying past that other people are doing. Again, life is too short to waste it. And find your passion. Find what drives you. And that will be the direction you need to travel. If it's becoming an owner of a small engine repair shop, so be it. All I can tell you is business is business. The same basic principles apply to anything that you do in life. And that is, 1, get experience, which gives wisdom, right? Because if you've never dealt with business before or ran a business, and you step out and you buy a business that you have no skill set to run and maintain that business, it's going to fail. So you can't sidestep or skip over steps, right? But the big things to remember is, if you're applying yourself on a regular basis to become a better person, a better businessman, a better employee, whatever, drives you, then at least do the best of your ability. Not what everybody else, the best of your ability. And if your ability right now is mundane and you know that you can get better at the best of your ability, then try to better yourself every day. And then you will be that person that everybody looks at and says, I wish I was more like him or her. On that note, you guys have a great Tuesday. And we'll see you here tomorrow morning. Enjoy. Don't forget, Christmas is getting close.